Okay, members of the media, we will now begin our Zoom conference with West Virginia head coach Bob Huggins. Please use the raised hand feature and we will call on you with your questions. Greg Hunter is not on today, so first one that raises their hand, that's who we'll call. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and call somebody. John Antonek, your first question.
Yeah, I'm trying to find I was going to ask a question. Hugs, how they been so far since you've had him back? You had a practice with him yet?
No.
No. How were they after the game?
Just disappointed.
Yeah. This team seems to be getting close. I mean, you look at each game that well, 4 of the 5 games that you've lost, there's a player or two that could, if you flip it one way or the other, you're looking at wins. Is that how you approach it?
Well, I think that's the truth. I mean, that's kind of the way it's fallen for us. We haven't got a lot of breaks or made a lot of breaks, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
We've had opportunities for sure.
You try to just stay positive with them and just say, hey, we got to fight through this and just keep going and move forward.
Well, I think, kind of at first is, hey fellas, we've got to run offense. We can't get out of what we do. And obviously we needed to make free throws, which we didn't. And at one point in time, we were close to 20 turnovers a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously you got to address those things. But I mean, we've cleaned up the turnover issue, and I think they're playing hard. I didn't think we played as hard as we needed to initially, but they're playing hard. They played hard in that game. It just, every once in a while you need a break.
When a team's going like this, how much of it is coach driven in terms of getting the guys refocused, or is it player driven where some of the older guys like Keedy got to say, hey, we got to take care of business? How does that work?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, yeah, obviously guys like Keedy have voiced, their opinion, as have, a lot of other guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's important is the guys that voice their opinion are actually the guys that are not or that are rather giving it everything they have and really kind of, as much as anybody can, carry the load. It's hard to motivate others when you're having a hard enough time motivating yourself.
Yeah. One more from me. TCU's coming off a really good win. They snapped a 2-game losing streak. What do you see from Jamie and the Horned Frogs coming in here on Wednesday?
I think it's the most talented team Jamie's had since he's been at TCU. They're like the Lakers used to be. They're like the Showtime Lakers. They do a great job of running lanes. There's various clips of them rebounding a ball, outletting it, and scoring a layup at the other end before the ball ever touched the floor. Jamie's done a really, really good job of making it a up-tempo style.
That's not what we remember from him at Pitt.
No. I mean, but I think that tells you, what a good coach he is, that he can adjust. He can adjust to personnel.
Next question goes to Kevin Kinder.
That you mentioned a couple times in the last 2 or 3 weeks about running a lot of different offenses, different looks, different schemes, I guess. And then mentioned that again, that, maybe were trying to run a little bit too much. Maybe, it was a little bit too much for guys to handle. After this last game, when your smaller lineup looked like it had some success, helped you get back into it, does that kind of verify what you're thinking? Is that more of what we might see in the future?
Well, I think we're going to try to as best we can figure out what best suits us, and that's going to vary according to who you play and how they play and their personnel as well. So, but I think we've always done that. I don't think that's a new thing. I just think it's a situation where, this whole thing is new. I mean, and it's new to me. We've got 2 freshmen that are very, very good, and they're going to be really, really good players. And we've got a couple sophomore players that are good players, and my hope and my thinking would be we want to hang on to those guys. We want those guys to stay. We don't want those guys being portal guys that are, going to go somewhere else and maybe or probably not play as much as what they would or should here. It's just, you got, when you bring in so many different people, we have obviously the portal guys. We took a couple junior college guys that are all very talented, are going to be really good players, but it's hard to put all that together. It's quite frankly, it's a lot harder than what I thought it would be. We've had guys come in, and particularly when I was at Cincinnati, we'd go recruit guys. We'd recruit guys from the National Player of the Year to guys that were All-Americans, to high school All-Americans, to junior college All-Americans, to just a wide variety of guys. But it wasn't that they didn't come from programs maybe drastically different than what some of these guys now have come from. And that's not a knock on anybody. That's just reality. There's a big difference in playing slow and playing fast. There's a difference in how you attack things. Are you going to be inside oriented? Or are you going to be more guard oriented? How are you going to play the game? And so you're trying to put all of that together. And we're close, but I think we've been close. We haven't made crucial plays the way we need to make crucial plays. And you think last night I was sitting there, I was thinking, with TCU coming up, the time we beat TCU, when Dexter Mouse had the wherewithal to grab the ball, take it out of bounds, and throw it length of the floor to Javon Carter, who was streaking down the floor, made a layup as time expired. And at the time, I think those guys were 2 freshmen or sophomores. They probably were 2 freshmen to have the wherewithal to be able to do that. But those are 2 guys that had a basketball background, and 2 guys that were playing together, but they hadn't played together before they got here. But it's a difference when it's 2 guys rather than if it's 8 to 10 guys.
The last 10 minutes or so of the Oklahoma game, I think you only had like 1 substitution. That was probably an offense to defense thing. That lineup there, obviously it might be a little bit rebound challenged, but do you like what you see from there? And is that a lineup that we might see more of?
I thought our ball movement was better. I thought our people movement was better. Obviously we got better shots. So every game's going to be different. I can't tell you, hey, that's what we're going to do for the rest of the year, because there's going to be many instances where that's not the best thing for us. So to the best of my ability, I'm gonna try to make sure that we're giving our guys the best chance they can to win.
Next question goes to Bob Hertzel.
Yeah, Bob, you're talking about making crucial plays, plays at crucial times. That I think, and I think you probably agree with that. That comes down to having the ball in the hands, the right hands at that time. Have you been getting that or not? And I'm thinking in terms of Trey scoring, 15, 16 points, where he looks like the kind of guy you might be able to get more scoring out of if you emphasized it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's probably pretty accurate. I think the question is, are they going to execute what you ask them to execute? I mean, we were really thinking penetrating pitch. And it didn't work that way. And that's a lot of things, Bob. It could be an inbounds pass. It could be the defense did a good job of pushing the guy out of where we wanted the guy to be. We could have missed a slip guy, which happens frequently. The slip guy standing under the basket wide open, and it's a tie game. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and you're in some instances you end up with people having the ball that really haven't been in that position before. So, I think, and again, I mean, it's what I tried to say earlier. We have a whole bunch of people who come from different basketball backgrounds. And so they're not all thinking the same way, where, before, Joe Mazzulla called me last night about a lot of things, but the one thing that, he said is we had the advantage of playing together for all those years. I mean, albeit, John played one way, we play another way, but they played together and they knew each other. And with the advent of the portal and basically freedom of movement, it's a different game. And it's gonna take some time, I think, maybe for people to adjust to. The people that are winning, Bob, are the people who have pretty much maintained a roster.
Bob, do you have a follow-up?
Probably, but well, I'll get it later.
Let me know. We'll go on to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, kind of going off of what Kevin was talking about with that lineup, you pretty much put Trey at the 5 in that situation, right?
But who?
Trey at the 5 with that lineup?
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of I'm thinking he played there, when he was at UMass. I mean, he probably has some kind of experience there, but I'm just kind of wondering what you thought of him as a 5. He probably hasn't done it a whole lot, but he looked pretty good out there as a 5. Just kind of wondering what your thoughts. I mean, he's obviously a pretty versatile guy, so just wondering what your thoughts are with him at a 5.
Well, your example, I think, would have some validity if we were playing in the A-10. We're not playing in the A-10.
Right.
There's a huge difference, I think, in Trey going from a forward to a center in our league, the league we play in now, as opposed to the A-10. I would have no problem whatsoever playing in there in the A-10, but we're not in the A-10. I mean, we have to make adjustments there. It's the hardest league in America. It's the best league in America, where anything that you look at has the Big 12 as the best and the hardest league in America. We've played the fourth toughest strength of schedule to date in the country. So I mean, we're talking about different things, man.
Right. The other day you were talking about Mike Miles might be the most or one of the most talented guys in the Big 12. What do you see there that makes you think that?
It's terrific in transition. And I think he's a guy who certainly will play in the league, because I mean that style of play is sought after, and he's very, very good at it. I mean, he's as good in the open court as anybody we have in the league now, probably.
We will go to Mike Kazaza.
Hey Bob, how are you?
Good, Mike.
I just want to kind of get an update from you on your travel home. I think you said after the game Saturday the plane was broke down and you had to stay in a hotel. What happened there? How'd that go?
Well, I don't know, something there was, it wasn't, the plane wasn't broke down. There was one of the indicators in it went bad. And I don't understand. I didn't even really try to understand, but it ended up, they had to find one of those. They had to make sure that it was in a working order. And then it flew from somewhere to somewhere else to finally got back with us. And then of course you have to put it in a plane, make sure it's in a working order with the plane. And so we didn't get back until 2:00 in the morning.
All right, that's not fun.
Well, not from a noon game.
No.
Questions for Coach Huggins? There's no more questions in the queue. Please use the raised hand feature before we let him go if you all have any more questions. Okay, we will go to Ryan Decker.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned speaking with Joe Mazzulla, I think it was yesterday. If you would just, I guess, how have your conversations with him changed throughout the course of this year as he gets more experience at the NBA level? And I guess what kind of questions is he asking you at this point?
He's not asking me any questions. I think Joe's fully capable of running the ship himself. I think Joe loves West Virginia, loves basketball program, and Joe and I have a very good, very close relationship. And it was more about what's going on in the program, how do we continue to fix it. He was at the Oklahoma State game, sat behind the bench, and was able to take in a lot of things of which we talked about. That will stay between he and I.
Go back to Mike Kazaza.
Bob, turnovers have gotten better there. I'm curious what you all did to work on that, whether it's, I don't know, film or practice, whatever. And then just seeing that, and that was a problem that's gotten better. Can that be applied to other things that are close, as you say? Maybe it's just, finding the open guy on offense, or if it's a particular defense or rotation. How does one fix affect the confidence or the execution of other fixes?
I'm not sure, Mike. I think there are times when conceivably that could happen. I think there's other times where they don't have enough in common that one would help make up for another one. I mean, the reality is we turned it over way too much early, but we shot free throws better. And now we're turning it over less and shooting for free throws worse. I don't know that there's any kind of correlation between that.
Any additional questions for Coach? Okay, Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Mike.